Hi everybody, how we doing today? This is my name is Joe Appello with George Connors, my partner. We are here to talk about sports. We're going to hit a little bit of everything today, mainly NFL draft,
and golf
draft, a little golf. Yeah, reluctantly, no, we'll hit a little golf. We'll do, I think, a lot of action with the free agency and in pro football. So I think that's going to be a major topic everyone's talking about right now. I'm going to start off with Kirk Cousins. He's going to sign with the Vikings at $84 million. Now, do you realize that his $84 million is guaranteed, and that makes him the third highest quarterback as far as guaranteed money? You know the other two?
Garofalo.
No.
Don't know.
It was Matt Stafford. This is the guaranteed money.
Oh, okay. Guaranteed money.
He had $92 million guaranteed, and Andrew Luck was the other one, $87. The guarantee is different than the annual salary.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Garofalo's annual salary is up there, but yeah.
Yeah, because Garofalo was the highest paid quarterback at the time he signed.
Right.
Until
it's kind of
that
hard.
was early in the process.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to figure because they got these guaranteed things and they have annual salary. And it's kind of confusing actually to the regular fan.
Yeah.
I mean, they got these finance guys that figure all this stuff out. It's a lot more complicated than we
I remember
know.
when Parcells was was with the Jets. There was a lot of talk that he had a guy, and the guy's entire job was figuring out, tweaking and deferring this and that and everything to fit under the salary cap.
That's why you see a lot of these guys they're getting cut all of a sudden. Like, well, how come they're cut it? A lot of times they cut them because they're due a bonus or something, and they don't want to pay the bonus, considering the guy's not productive anymore.
It happens a lot in baseball too.
Right.
That raises a question in baseball. We'll get to baseball later, but the guy's got an incentive in his contract that if he gets X number of at bats, something kicks in. Well, now all of a sudden it's September and the team's not in the pennant race, and mysteriously guys start getting days off and ththings like that.
Right, exactly. And with the Vikings, I think he obviously could have went wherever he wanted to, and I guess he narrowed down to the Broncos and the Jets and the Vikings, and the Broncos went ahead and got Case Keenum.
Yeah.
And then the Jets just signed Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, well, Bridgewater and they re-signed McCown.
Yeah.
So I was, as a Jet fan, I guess a little disappointed. I've been waiting a long time for the Jets to invest in a quarterback that you could see, being on the field for 8 to 10 years, and doesn't look like it's going to happen again. McCown, he did great for who he was this past year. Now, if you can say the team winning 5 games is great, but I think he overachieved. Bridgewater, I don't think has ever gotten to his expectations.
Hasn't played that much.
So now the Jets are back in the same boat of, patchwork quarterback.
I tell you,
they have a good draft pick. At number 6, they could pick up something.
I tell you, my take on Cousins, and maybe it's a little different than most people. First of all, he was 4-19 against playoff teams. Yeah. So against those better teams, he doesn't really seem to produce, whether that's about or not, I don't know. And the other thing, with Cousins, he's 30 years old. So, does he have 5 productive years left, 8, 10, who knows? So
if he goes on the TB12, he can play for 15 more years.
Remember, he was on Stephen Colbert's show the other night. Did you see that?
Drinking beer.
He was showing Stephen Colbert how to massage his forearm and keep it from tightening up. Anyway, we digress. Now, the other thing I thought it was very interesting with the Vikings, how they had those 3 quarterbacks now. The other quarterback they had, Stan Bradford, he went to the Cardinals. So they had those 3 quarterbacks, they're all gone. Right. And they bring in Cousins. I don't know who their backup is, actually. Who's left over there? Is their backup? It can't be anybody that's relevant.
Don't know. I mean, they could pick up an unknown, a relative unknown in the free agent market or something. But like we've said on the show before, the backup quarterback is probably the 3rd or 4th most important position player that you have on a football team. Right.
Now, the next thing is the Titans picked up Deion Lewis and Malcolm Butler from the free agents from the Pats, which is interesting. Malcolm Butler got some big bucks. I think he got 5 years and 61 million, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, for him getting benched in the Super Bowl, it's like, okay, I'll take it.
And apparently we're never going to hear the story on why he was benched, but
never gonna say. It'll come out probably someday.
Yeah, maybe on his deathbed. But the fact that he got such a big contract, the first thing I thought was, because I was thinking there was something going on there that didn't get out to the press, why he got benched.
Right.
You don't bench a guy in a Super Bowl.
Such a good player.
For a small reason, especially, a player of his caliber.
Yeah.
Well, the guys on the inside are going to know what's going on.
Right.
So for him to get that contract kind of negates the thought of that there's a scandal or something like that. So I think it whether we end up finding out about why he got benched or not, I think it kind of put the story to rest because, these guys know pretty much everything that's going on.
What's interesting about running backs, too, is like everyone talks about running backs, this and that. They're kind of irrelevant in the NFL. I don't mean irrelevant, it's probably not the good word, but they're not as important to your offense as most people think. Now, what were the three running backs on the Eagles last year, Super Bowl champions?
Unknown.
LeGarrette Blount.
Not unknown, but yeah.
Corey Clemens and Jay Ajayi. I mean, those are not household names.
Right.
And they're not in the upper echelon of running backs in the NFL, but they won the Super Bowl with those three guys.
Yeah. And what was impressive, I thought about that was, again, going back to, say, the Jets, the first 2 years they had Rex Ryan. And so they had Rex Ryan and Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez was a highly touted, rookie and all that. They went to the AFC Championship not on the arm of Mark Sanchez, but on the legs of LaDainian Tomlinson. So while it's somewhat irrelevant, or you can do running back by committee with less than a franchise quarterback.
Right.
I think it can be irrelevant if you're a pass-centered team and you've got a great skilled quarterback. Tom Brady doesn't need a great running game, but in certain offenses and certain systems, depending on how you're made up,
I've always
a great running back is important.
Don't screw it up. You got these guys that throw pick sixes and turnovers and make it difficult on their defense and just make it hard. If you make big mistakes like that, it just puts your whole team in a bad spot, and it'll Geno Smith was a perfect example. I mean, he's got some talent. He's not a bad quarterback, but you've seen him make so many turnovers, so many mistakes that always killed him all the time.
Yeah.
And where's he at now? But there's another good question. He's still on the Giants, right? So I mean,
he was on the roster last year. So, I don't know if
I don't know what they're going to do with him. I haven't heard anything about him going anywhere or being offered.
Turn him into a safety.
But
I think the younger the quarterback, the more important the running game is.
Yeah.
Because think of those great Ravens teams. They weren't great Ravens teams because they their offense. They were great defensive teams. And basically the offensive job was stay out on the field for a little while and don't turn it over.
Don't turn it over.
We'll figure out how to get you field position. We'll score a touchdown once every 2 weeks or whatever else.
Right.
You get more of a veteran quarterback who can maybe handle those situations and not make those mistakes.
It's interesting. The Packers made a couple of moves. Packers generally don't do much as far as free agency and things like that.
Yeah.
They're like a homegrown team because they have the. They're kind of supported by their fan base as far as like finance. Like everyone has a piece of that. It's kind of unique.
It's a publicly traded company.
Yeah. And they signed Jimmy Graham, tight end. So that's a good move. But they're going to cut. I believe they cut Jordy Nelson now.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite players. Aaron Rodgers. One of Aaron Rodgers' top targets, if not his top target, but he's been injury prone. He was out all last year.
Yeah, the last few years.
So you just don't know how his health is, or if his health at this point justifies his salary at this point. So I think that's a huge thing where they're like, okay, you know what, you're not worth X amount, and do what you got to do. I don't think it has anything to do with who likes you, who doesn't like you. I mean, it becomes business at that point.
These power agents, I think, they're going to get as much as they can for their players because they're getting 10% of it. Yeah. But I think a lot of that, in some cases, you can put a guy out of a job. You do such a good job negotiating to this elevated salary.
Right.
At some point the team's going to say, this isn't worth it. And in football, it's easier to get out of a contract.
Right.
There's a lot more.
Yeah, you just release them.
Yeah.
And then see that. They also signed Mo Wilkinson for the defensive line, so that helps a little bit. So I like a couple of things that Packers did.
Yeah, Mo never quite got to
kind of went downhill after he started out well.
Yeah.
First year or two he did well.
A lot of talk that he got complacent, really.
Yeah.
But then if you're you look at these guys in the NFL or NHL or any any professional league, all the guys that are playing, they've won their whole lives.
Right.
You know, they didn't get there because they played on bad college teams, bad high school teams, and things like that.
Made the teams better.
So now you get to the ultimate level, and you're playing for a team that's going to win 3, 4, 5 games. It's a different situation.
Now you got our Cleveland Browns who have been making a lot of moves.
Our Cleveland Browns.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
your Cleveland Browns.
Not my Cleveland Browns. I'm saying our for the fact they affect everybody else.
Oh, okay, got it.
They got Tyrod Taylor. I think that move there was based on let's get him for a year and then draft our franchise quarterback and let him sit behind Tyrod. So we have a guy that can kind of hold down the fort. They got Jarvis Landry, signed him as a wideout, and they dealt Deshaun Kaiser to. Who they sell? They dealt him somewhere. I think they dealt him to the Packers, actually. So he's gone too. The interesting part about that, they also signed Carlos Hyde today from the Niners, a running back. Now, the interesting part about that, how does that play out in the draft? It kind of affects everyone in the NFL, who they draft and how they play it.
Sure.
They got the 1-4. If they take Saquon Barkley at 1, then the Giants don't get him. I think the Giants want him bad if he's still there. Now, the thing about the Browns are in the driver's seat. They take Barkley at 1 and take one of the franchise quarterbacks at 4. Because the Giants take one of them, the Colts are 3. Colts probably aren't going to take a quarterback unless Luck can't play at all. So they're going to get the best running back in the draft, I think, and they're also going to get one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% convinced the Giants are going to take quarterback. You know, we said I think we said it on previous shows 2 months ago, 3 months. You know, right when the season ended,
I agree.
There was, without question, they're going to take the best quarterback they can get.
I don't think they will.
I'm not. You know, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
They're taking Barkley if he's there for sure.
Yeah,
I think. Now, if Cleveland takes Barkley, then they got a choice whether they take Bradley Chubb from NC State, who was an edge rusher, where they take the Quinton Martin, the guard from Notre Dame, supposed to be a put-in, plug-in player for the next 15 years, all-pro potential on your offensive line. They got Mike McGlinchey from Notre Dame, who's a big tackle, but they're not going to use a ton on him.
Awful lot of pressure. On a number 2 pick to take a lineman or something like that. That's a tough sell.
Very rare.
Tough sell.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a Lawrence Taylor out there or something, that's one thing. But pretty tough to sell to your fan base that this right tackle is what we're going to do.
Along the lines of what we just said about running backs. Now, if they don't get Barkley for whatever reason, you've got 4 or 5 other really, really good backs that would be able. Darius Geis from LSU. Ronald Jones from USC is very good. They got the 2 guys from Georgia, Chubb and Sonny Michel. You got those 2 guys. You've got the guy from Auburn. You've got a lot of really, really good backs out there. So they're not, they'll get a back at some point, somewhere in the draft, whether it's 2 or not.
I think from the Jets' perspective, that's probably where it'll end up going. At least I hope that's where they're going. It doesn't, based on the moves that they made most recently, it doesn't look like they're looking at quarterback. And so it becomes best available. Well, I really hope it's best available running back, not best available.
Now the Giants on the radar, they got Ogletree from the Rams, linebacker. I mean, I don't know what the true story is there, but he's a 4-year starter. I think he's in the league 3 years in the league, 3 or 4 years in the league. He was a captain of defense. A really, really good player. He had just signed a 4-year deal for $42 million, I think. So the Giants take that over. Now, do you know the connection between the Giants and Ogletree? He's married to Adams' sister. The defensive back they have, Andrew Adams. He's from UConn, and Ogletree's wife is
no kidding. I did not know
sister. Yeah, okay. So there's a little bit of a connect there.
That could be good or bad. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that might be. He might have gone and say, "What you want to get out of there? You want to come over with us?" And they need linebackers. They're going to the 3-4. So they're going to need 4, 5, 6, 8 good linebackers. Their defense is going to be strong. So I think that was a nice move they had. They also signed Jonathan Stewart on the Carolina Panthers, running back. So he's a good, solid back. Yeah. 28 years old, got in the prime. That was good. They also interested with the Giants. They got Wig, the punter, and they cut Rosario, the place kicker. So their special teams are done. So they've got a punter on the squad that's been on the taxi squad that
The taxi squad. That's an old statement for you folks at home.
The extra squad there. They're kind of like stay in the backyard squad. But they also have
the practice team.
They were last in the league, and the league was last in the league as far as average per kick.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to special teams, special teams can make or break. You can change field position. You can kick, important field goals at the end of the year. But I think if there's one position on a football team that you can just plug somebody in there, it's a punter and a place kicker.
I would think so.
Yeah, you can go grab a soccer player. I'm not saying no experience, but I'll agree with a lot of people say that the kickers are the non-athletes on the team. You don't have to know the system. You don't. It's not like you throw in a new linebacker into a system. He's got to understand where everybody's supposed to be, where he's supposed to be, or whatever else. The punter, catch the ball, kick the ball.
Now, I think today the Giants signed Nate Solder from the New England as a tackle, huge guy. So that at least they addressed some of their offensive line woes. They also promoted a guy named Jimmy Halapio from their extra squad, so he's a guard that they've been working with.
The practice team. Yep.
So they bring him up. So they're
and that's nice to see in football. You think of football as you got your draft picks, and maybe 60% of your draft picks end up staying with the team for a certain amount of time, and then it's all free agency. It is kind of nice to see almost a team develop a player and pull somebody off of a practice squad.
I think what you're saying
in the off season.
Right.
I mean, sometimes they have to do it during the season to fill an injury gap or something like that. But I do kind of enjoy.
I think what you're
seeing that reward for somebody who's going to stay on the practice squad and work hard every week, knowing that they're not going to suit up on Sunday.
Yeah, that's pretty rare. The point is that these guys get to a point where Super Bowl is nice and winning is nice, but you know what? Show me the money. They realize that they're one hit away from not having a job or not being a professional athlete. So you really can't blame these guys for jumping around a little bit, going here and going there, especially with the guaranteed money. That's the biggest factor.
And you've got, 4 or 5 years, maybe average. Probably less than that.
Well, another thing, the guy Andrew Norwell, which is they say one of the best, if not the best guard in the NFL. I actually thought the Giants. He was on a Giants radar. I thought the Giants were going to grab him because he was actually signed by Gettleman, who's the Giant GM. But he signed with the Jags, and I think he's actually the highest paid lineman in the league now. Five years or 62.
The Jags kind of went from the outhouse to the White House almost. It was a laughable team for a number of years. They came on the scene now, so they were going to make some strides to get better. So Joe gets to talk for a long time about, the Giants did this, Giants did that, all this stuff. My team, we signed 2 B- quarterbacks. Again, like we said, Josh did well.
Okay.
Bridgewater, who knows? Maybe it's a system he's around, but he was in a good system. You got to say, Minnesota was not a bad team.
Bridgewater is such an X factor. You don't really know what you got there. I mean, I think from my standpoint, I thought it was a great get because they only got him 1 year, so he can sit there and kind of learn. And then if he does produce and play well, they can obviously sign him up for a longer contract. So it's almost like a 1 year trial because he hasn't. His resume is just not filled at all. It's just not big enough. I mean, I don't know what he can. I mean, he came out of college, highly touted and played well for a few games. He played in the Vikings before he went down to that bad knee injury. Yeah. But
on the other side, I mean, so you lock him up or whatever else. Maybe you see what he can do on the practice field. Right. You don't want him doing too much on the field because then you got to pay him.
They still got those other guys too. They still got Hackenberg and Bryce Petty. I don't know what they're doing with them. And then you've got they signed Isaiah Crowell from the Browns, running back. Yeah, good player. Yeah. So that, they still have a lot of money to spend. They have a lot of money in their cap. So.
Yeah, I mean they do have money to spend. Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't spend it on Cousins. I'm so glad they didn't do it. All that money on one guy, it's just like,
It's tough. That's again. Yeah. Because no matter who you get in there, if you don't have the cast around them, well, now you're going to spend $60 million a year, and the guy's on his back. Yeah. Once every series. Yeah. That doesn't do you any good.
Yeah. Now a couple of other teams. Who else? The Bengals got rid of one of their tackles, and A.J. McCarron's still out there, the backup quarterback for him. So I don't know what happened with him. No, he hasn't been mentioned too much.
No.
He's another guy unproven. Played well. He played in the playoff game a couple years ago, played well. But I don't know what's happening with him. I mean, he's just kind of out there, too. I mean, to me, that'd be kind of a guy you can get cheap and give it a shot.
Yeah.
You know.
Do the Patriots get a backup quarterback this year, or do they just go ahead and stick with TB?
Well, you still have, what's his name? You still have Brian Hoyer. Still, I mean, you know.
They just stick with that? Just roll the dice?
I would think so. They're one team that haven't done anything. I mean, as far as like free agency and this like that, just lost a few guys.
They lost Amendola.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I'm as a Jets fan, I'm always happy to see good players leave New England. I was a little disappointed that he's going in the division to Miami.
They're probably figuring that Edelman will come back to where he was. And Amendola was kind of an Edelman spot this year.
Well, he played good though.
Yeah.
And Amendola this year was healthy. But I mean, all those years with the Rams and everything else. I mean, he's pretty injury prone. He's got that little, you know, Wayne Krebet type of build where he and he doesn't, you know, he's no fear. He goes over the middle.
He's not jacked like Edelman. Edelman's
he gets a lot of hits. So in a way, I guess they kind of lucked out that he did go through the season pretty healthy this past year.
He came up big in those games. I mean, you know, absolutely. Yeah. Now you want to talk about Odell Beckham a little bit?
Well, you got it because you got the dry erase board. You got everything. You want me to hold it up while you talk about it, or? Well, you know, hold it up for the viewers at home, as they say.
Yeah, I did a little bit of
I'm like
research an article.
Can I be like Vanna White?
There you go.
Like
there you go.
Hold the thing up.
Up here we have 3 other receivers. Mike Evans of the Bucs just signed a big contract. He signed a contract for 5 years, $82 million. Okay, that comes out to $16.5 million a year. The highest paid receiver is Antonio Brown.
Did you do that in your head, or did you have a calculator?
That's calculator.
Okay.
Antonio Brown, highest paid receiver in the NFL. Now, up here is kind of interesting stats. We have catches per game, yards per game, and TDs per game. Okay, there's a comparison. And Odell Beckham actually has the best stats of any of those top 3 receivers. And he's the lowest paid by far of those receivers because he's still on his rookie contract, on his rookie deal pack. Now, Antonio is $17 million a year. He's 6.2 catches a game, 89 yards a game, and .49 TDs per game. Odell,
so he's making scoring a touchdown once every 2 weeks, basically. Right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Half a touchdown a game.
And now it's obvious Odell, when he's on the field, he's the top, if not one of the top receivers in the NFL. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
Now, DeAndre Hopkins is 4.9, 70, and .35. Now, Hopkins down there, in defense of him, he's had some terrible quarterbacks. Now he's got Deshaun Watson, so at least he's got a good quarterback now. But prior to that, he had all these different, it was like a mishmash of quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, Mike Evans, he's got Jameis Winston. So, you know, a lot of times you get paid on potential or what you're going to be doing.
That's all you can get paid on.
Yeah. So
they're not going to pay you for what you used to do.
Yeah. Now the other thing is Antonio Brown is 4 years. His contract is 4 years for $68 million.
Okay.
And DeAndre Hopkins is 5 years for $81 million, and Mike Evans is 5 years for $82 million. And now Odell is seeking a max. I think he wants to be the highest paid receiver in the NFL, which you can't blame him. Now he just recently.
I want to be the highest paid receiver.
Sure, why not? Now recently he went. A video of him went viral last week. Did you see that?
I did see a little bit of it on
what did you think?
Yeah. There's one of the great videos or whatever I saw was so when in a few weeks when the players get drafted, you know, you get drafted into the NFL, there's a mandatory camp that they go to. And it's basically an orientation. Okay, you're in the NFL now, and there's a great speech that Herm Edwards gives to these players, and it's all about social media, camera phones, and everything else. And I mean, here's a guy with a chance to sign his second contract, which that's the big one, right? Your rookie contract's your rookie contract. When you sign your second contract, that sets you up for the rest of your life.
What does Edwards tell his players about social media when you're texting and whatnot?
Don't do it.
No, you hear what he said? If you would send it to your mother, if you wouldn't send it to your mother, don't do it.
Okay.
That's what he says.
Is that Herm saying that?
Herm Edwards says that.
You know, that's always throughout life. That's a pretty good idea.
If your mother can't read it, don't send it.
That's a pretty good idea. But you know, his big thing in the talk is don't hit send, don't hit send. Well, in this case, it wasn't Odell filming himself, but you just can't do that kind of stuff in today's day and age because somebody's going to see you. I mean, there was a rapper at the airport the other day that it was an accident or a mistake or whatever else. He had one of his entourage's carry-ons, and in the carry-on was a loaded pistol.
Yeah.
So what does the guy do? He panics. Okay, you know, if he had to do over again or whatever else, hey, I'm so-and-so, this is a mistake. Right. You could probably so he panics and he runs away. Well, as he's running away, there's all these people putting it on Instagram and filming him. Right. You're not going to get away with it anymore.
Right. Everywhere.
You know, I don't care how close you are to your circle. Yeah. Now, the fact that he didn't get away with it is one level. Right. The fact that he was in the situation that he was in is, I think, the deeper problem. And you're trying to negotiate the contract that's going to set you up for the rest of your life.
What you're saying is don't put yourself in that position.
And this kind of stuff is coming out.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself in that position, but why are you putting yourself, you know, it's not so much that you got caught, it's that you made a decision to be in that situation.
Right.
And
I don't understand the advantage.
You know, if I'm an owner and I was in conversation with Beckham's agent, and then I see this, well, why do I necessarily automatically continue that conversation or that negotiation, even given those numbers?
Well,
when this is the kind of stuff that's going on.
My answer to that is, first of all, he's with some woman that he just met that night in a restaurant in Paris, actually. And now you don't know, maybe he didn't know she was filming anything. That's the first. Right. Let's err on the side of caution. Yeah. She didn't know she even had the phone out there. Now the second thing is that why would you put anything in general on social media? You know, anything that might, like you were saying, get you in trouble. Mm-hmm. It's not. What's the advantage of doing that? There's
zero advantage.
Yeah, so you're just going to get in trouble and you're going to lose money. And now, the other thing is they were saying that there was a piece in the back. He had looked like a marijuana cigar, or whatever they call it, in his hand, and then there was white lines on the table.
Yeah.
Now, they were saying that the pizza, it's a $55 million pizza. Meaning that's what cost them. That's going to cost him by getting caught in as far as negotiation.
Is that three toppings or four toppings?
Yeah. You know, 20 million.
$8.95 for a pizza.
20 million per topping. 20 million per topping. Yeah.
$55 million pizza.
Yeah. So
hope it was good.
That's what they were talking about.
And like I say, the fact that it's on social media is horrible.
Yep.
The fact that he's in that situation is the more horrible thing.
And allegedly he just met her that night too.
Yeah.
I mean, he can spin any way he wants. Now, the other thing is that, it gets to a point where, as a giant organization, is this guy ever going to grow up? Is he worth the risk? Is he a cancer? From all accounts, he's a really good teammate. He's good in the locker room. But you have this, what you were just saying with the social media. Now, does it all of a sudden you get out of that? Do you grow up? Does the light go on and say, oh my God, what am I doing? And are you willing to give him a max? He wants $20 million a year. Now, do you give that to him and then the next year he gets arrested or he does something, gets in trouble? God knows. I mean, I guess they have to decide that.
But based on the behavior and based on, we've talked about the lack of guaranteed contract money and everything in the NFL. You can put Roethlisberger lost a bunch of money because he got in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
Because in the contract says you can't ride a motorcycle. Well, you could put in Odell Beckham's contract that you cannot spend $55 million on a pizza, if you know what I'm saying. But you can't be in those situations.
Yeah. I mean,
I actually know another guy who was a pitcher. Now, I'm not gonna mention any names, but he was a pitcher, and he had been for the few teams. He had just signed to go out west for a team. Standing at the bottom of a ski hill, he gets run into. He's not skiing, but he gets hit. Can't tell the team how he got hurt,
right? Because
if he says, "Oh, I was skiing," that invalidates the whole thing.
Right.
So you got to be careful, and you can say, "Well, they're not letting me do anything," but it's their money.
Now, quick story too. Aaron Boone blew out his knee playing pickup basketball game, and could have did the same thing. He could have
Yep.
You know, and he was honest with the Yankee organization. And years later, they came back and said, you know what? They hired him as a manager, and they said, you know what? We appreciate the guy was a stand-up guy. He was honest.
Yeah.
And he said he hurt his knee playing some pickup basketball, which he wasn't supposed to be doing. So
Right.
I mean, you know, either way, he come back to help you or haunt you.
Yeah.
With Odell, I mean, as far as me being a diehard Giant fan, I love the guy. He's a great player, and you just wish he didn't have all these off-field issues. I mean, he's never been arrested though. He's never been tested positive for drugs. So, but there's all these alleged things that people think he's done. Now, the other thing about the drug testing in NFL, from April to August, every guy gets tested once in the NFL, unless you're in the substance abuse. I don't know how they put that. Substance abuse review
you have a history.
awareness or something.
Yeah.
Now, this video could prompt them to put Odell on that watch. I guess I don't know what qualifies you, but maybe it did. Now then you got to go through all the things. You know, was the video valid? You know, blah blah blah. Was it his stuff? I don't know. But the thing is that right now he's not getting tested, like in that substance abuse program. The substance abuse program, I think they can test you whenever they want. And they don't warn you. The other thing is, I mean, it really is hard to flunk a drug test in pro sports because most of the time they'll give you a heads up when they're going to do it. Or you have a window when they're going to do it. So you got to really be, have an issue.
Yeah. The next show we're going to do it all about masking agents. So
there you go.
Make sure you tune in for that.
Yeah, there's ways around everything. Right. Right. You beat everything. So anyway, but let's get off Odell a bit. But I mean, do the Giants want to change the culture? Like that, they could send a huge message. You know what, Odell, just ship him somewhere and get some. If they get good enough players, and just get rid of them and say, listen, we're not putting up with any of this kind of potential stuff, and go there. Or they say, okay, Odell, be a good boy, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, and I think if you're the Giants, with what's going on with the Giants, the fact that they have a number 2 pick for a reason, I think you have to hang on to Odell. But I think the lawyers need to handle this in such a way that here's a contract and here's all the ways that you can screw it up.
And hopefully the Giants would have a top pick in the next 10 years because they won't be that bad.
Yeah.
Now the other thing with Odell is that right now they're paying him $8.5 million a year, and he's got one more year on his rookie contract. If they can make him play, they can make him play for that.
Play the last year of the contract.
Next year, when he is off the rookie contract, they could franchise tag him. They could do it twice. So he could be franchise tagged. Next year, I think it's $17 million. It might go up the following year. So in theory, but they don't have to sign him for a long-term deal.
So with the franchise, it's a market price for that position.
It's determined by the NFL Players Association how much the franchise tag is. I believe it goes up to $17 million next year. Then the following year, it's got to be more than that, maybe 18.5 the following year. So in theory, they can franchise tag him twice, 2 years in a row, and make him.
So the number, like the franchise number, is kind of an average salary for that position.
For that position, right. It's the number
so
they came up with.
Around a little bit,
right? Exactly. So that's what Washington did to Cousins to keep him there for 2 years. Now, then you enter the level of, is he playing hurt? Is he giving 100%? You get all those factors. So I mean that's why it's you keeping him and get there against his will. Does you don't want to be there? What kind of clubhouse guy he is? All that stuff. But they hold the cards right now because he's still on that rookie deal. So that'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But when he's healthy and he's right. I would say he's the best wideout in the game.
Huge impact.
He's better than Antonio Brown.
Huge impact. But what I did notice, say from 2 years ago to this season, is he was making incredible catches. I mean, the one-handed Spider-Man looking catches he was making. There's an awful lot of those catches from other players this season that I started to watch. So I mean, it's a skill that he kind of showed. Okay, I have this, and nobody else did. But boy, how fast things get caught up.
That's true.
And all of a sudden now you see these other guys in the corner of the end zone, one-handed grabs. Looks like the old Fred Blodnikoff days would stick them on their hands.
So we'll see how that pans out.
So before we go. Done with free agency because we're going to keep moving on. I did want to mention golf a little bit.
Absolutely.
And
Tiger is back.
Well, one of the reasons, before we get to that, off-sport injuries. Phil Mickelson's gotten hurt skiing. A lot of skiing injuries. This and that. Dustin Johnson had some jet ski injuries and things like that. which did raise some questions and things like that. An interesting thing on the PGA Tour, they announce nothing. They don't announce any fines, any suspensions, or anything like that. So there's been a lot of rumors in golf that when this guy was hurt because he got, did this or did that, and he's going to be out for 3 months because of an injury, was it a 3-month suspension from the tour based on a failed drug test? Because they test, the PGA Tour uses the Olympic banned substances list. If you remember, I don't know if you remember, Vijay Singh was suspended for using deer antler spray. During his appeal, deer antler spray came off the Olympic list, so the PGA Tour just kind of lifted the suspension and things like that. And as a golfer, I always liked that. I always said, you know what, we don't need to. The tour doesn't need to put all their dirty laundry out there. Guys are getting fined every week. If you say a curse word and the microphone picks it up, they're paying a fine. If you fail a drug test, you're gonna get suspended. There's levels just like in any other sport. And I always thought that was nice. I don't need my sport out there saying, oh well, this guy did this and this guy did that. However, it causes a problem when a guy like Tiger Woods, who's back now, he's back and he's healthy and he's swinging the club faster than ever. With all of his injuries, there's been a lot of rumors or speculation. Was he on steroids or whatever else? And when he would say, I tried to come back, but my back hurts, or I have to get another surgery on my knee or whatever else, they'd say, oh, he's not hurt, he's serving a suspension. And he's got nothing to stand on because the PGA Tour is never going to say yes or no on anything. So it does, there's a good and a bad to it. But 2 weeks in a row, we had Phil Mickelson at the age of 47 win a golf tournament, first time in 1,680 some days. And then Tiger Woods is now playing a more complete schedule than he's ever played in the past. In fact, he finished 1 stroke out of the lead down in Tampa at an event he's never gone to. He kind of just earmarks his typical schedule. So he's playing more, and he's playing really, really well. He's not quite there. In fact, he said in the post-round interview on Sunday, he had a chance to win. He had a chance actually to birdie the last hole to get into a playoff. And he said he's still not quite confident enough to be aggressive in certain situations, which actually showed up on the 18th hole. Most of those players were having, little 80 to 100 yard, 120 yard type shots, little flip wedges in there. Tiger didn't feel confident to really challenge the hole. Hit an iron off the tee, had 180 some yards left in. You're not going to make as many birdies from 180 yards as you are from 120 yards. So, but he's close, and it's created a lot of excitement.
Good for golf.
There's Phil fans and there's Tiger fans, and in the past few weeks, they've all been satisfied. And I think that this year we're 3 or 4 weeks away from the Masters. We could have a really cool Masters tournament this year because you could have 47-year-old Phil Mickelson, 42-year-old Tiger Woods coming down the stretch in the conversation for the lead, going against 23, 24, 25-year-old studs. Right. And, it'd be kind of a throwback to the U.S. Open at Cherry Hills where you had Ben Hogan, Jack Nicklaus, and Arnold Palmer. You had kind of 3 generations of golfers in contention. Yeah. So it'd be fun. Yeah, absolutely. It brings a lot of excitement. Absolutely. And the TV stations love it because when Tiger's in contention, when Tiger's playing at all.
Even for me, I never watched golf, but I would watch it. I like Mickelson and I like Tiger, so I would watch that.
Yeah, so that was fun.
How about UConn? Ali's gone out the door. Who's going to take it over?
I don't know who's going to take it over. I don't think anybody's surprised that Ali got fired. I think it was almost a no-win situation.
Yeah, I mean,
to follow Calhoun, that's a tough. It's like, there's going to come a day when Gino Auriemma retires. Who's going to follow that?
Yeah.
Follow Belichick, follow.
It's always tough to.
Landry or any of these things. Yeah. It's a tough situation.
A couple of names been mentioned to succeed Ali, and obviously it's early in and a long way to go. It's Danny Hurley is one from Rhode Island. Steve Peichel, who was ex-assistant coach there, and then there's rumors that Calhoun.
I went to high school with Steve Peichel.
Did you really?
Yeah, he's part of my coaching tree.
Oh, okay. And Calhoun was sniffing around a little bit. He's about what's going?
Calhoun's got a job.
What's he about?
He's coaching St. Joe's.
He's about 110 years old. It's like 76 or 78. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. And then I don't know if they have any NCAA allegations or violations coming up.
That's going to be.
He was fired for just cause, which I don't understand what that means. Just cause.
Just because he didn't win enough games.
Yeah, exactly. Just because they don't like him. Yeah, and there's also with that $10 million he was due.
And he's appealing something.
Yeah, they're fighting that.
Involved,
he doesn't get that. So that's see how that pans out.
Yeah.
Now you got spring trainings coming to a little bit halfway through.
Yeah, we're getting close.
The Mets, where are they at now? I mean, they have
Mets at the time of the recording of this show have lost 9 straight, which I think is great because a couple seasons ago they lost their last 13 games of spring training, went to the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
So they're healthy.
I think Dominick Smith has played his way into the minors again. That first thing he did was he missed his first start. And, and from there it's been downhill again. He's got a quad injury. So
very first game. Yeah, he's the one they're grooming, right?
Yeah,
and he shows up late.
They never said why he was late, whether he overslept or whatever it may be. But the thing is that you would think it'd be totally the opposite. You'd be there 5 hours early your first week. You'd be ready to go. This is your big chance. He's in shape.
Yeah.
So I think right now he's slated for the minors. Adrian Gonzalez, I know it's spring training, but he hasn't shown anything.
No, but that's
too great.
That's their first baseman.
Yeah, they're hoping that he comes back a little bit.
On the pitching side, Syndergaard looks great. DeGrom is kind of coming into form.
They'll be fine.
Matt started off horrible.
Yep.
His last couple outings have been pretty good.
Much better. Bullpen looks better.
Yeah.
Plawecki's been playing great as battle for the catcher's job with Denard. I think he's a lot better than Denard. But
Darnell, I think Plawecki's managed his way into like the lead role. In fact, in one of Syndergaard's starts against the Nationals, I think he went 3 innings that game. Could be wrong, but he's only going to go 3. Yep. So before the last out of say the second inning, Plawecki goes out and has a little chat with him. He gets that out, comes out in the next inning, strikes out 3 batters. Rendon was one of them, kind of the heart of the order. Strikes out 3 batters on 9 pitches, and they asked in the press conference afterward, they asked Thor, what did Plawecki say when he came out? And he said, well, he came out and he told me to get my head out of my, and that was it, which I thought was a great line. Plawecki, if he can manage the staff or a portion of the staff and know that, hey, I can say this to Syndergaard, but I need to handle DeGrom a certain way and Harvey a different way.
That's what it's all about.
And Harvey, at this point, is a 3rd or 4th starter for any team.
Yeah. Now they're shopping Juan Lagares, I guess, because I think Nimmo's been playing pretty well.
Nimmo's playing really well.
I think they want to put him in center, and but he is lefty. They want to see if he can hit lefty pitching. Mm-hmm. Lagares, some teams have expressed an interest in him. He's a great defensive player, but his bat still is not where it should be.
Unfortunately, if you're on the Mets, your bat is always not where it's supposed to be.
They still have the great pitching, and we'll see what happens over else. If Cespedes stays healthy, if he stays hot, can carry them for a while.
Yeah.
Now the Yankees pick up Neil Walker yesterday.
Another shockingly late in the year for a top free agent to get signed.
What that does for them is that they're going to start Torres and Andujar in the minors probably now. Mm-hmm. Torres stays in the minors for 3 weeks, and they get another year of service for him.
Yep.
Control of him actually.
Yep.
So they're going to start those 2 in the minors. They've got this Brandon Drury from, I'll say it again, from the Diamondbacks. That's a steal of the wintertime. The guy's going to be very productive. He's going to be very good. Mm-hmm. Just like they stole Didi from Arizona. Yep. I don't know what's going on out there, but Drury's tough.
Is Arizona the new Pittsburgh? Pittsburgh was famous for supplying great players to the entire league.
And I think Tyler Wade's going to start at second base now, and Torres is really more of a backup. Torres is more of a backup infielder, and I like Wade at bat ninth, playing second. He looked like he put on 10, 15 pounds over the winter. He looks really good. Yep. And they're just raring to go, waiting to go. I mean, their pitching looks good. Everything looks good on them.
Yeah.
I don't even know if Chapman's even pitched this spring, has he?
I
no one's seen him. He hasn't even done anything.
Yeah.
So I think they're just raring to go. Red Sox,
been quiet.
They're kind of status quo too.
They've been quiet. Yeah. A couple signings here and there. But.
Yep. They're pretty much getting ready to go.
Yeah. And like anything else, when they break camp or they head north or whatever else, there's a lot of teams that have the roster to be playoff contenders, and then the whole thing is how do we stay healthy?
I guess Walker makes the team coming out of camp since they just signed him. And they got Adam Lynn too. I think he starts at the minors though, but he's on first call. He can play first in the outfield and DH. They had Stan in left field flashed a couple balls out there a couple weeks ago, but I mean he hasn't played left field too much, so he's kind of like just in case. They've been playing Stan in the left and Gardner in center, and then Judge at right.
Did I hear something about Judge playing some first base?
I haven't heard that.
No, I thought I heard they were gonna at some point this spring kind of show it to him or whatever, and I think it'd be. Yankees have always been better at thinking years down the road. So you get a prodigy like a Judge. If he can play first base, obviously he can be a DH at some point.
6-7. I mean,
but does this become an extra couple of years where he has a lot of value to the team?
And then you got Tyler Austin, who's a first baseman. He's a good young prospect. Billy McKinney, he's got 4 home runs. I mean, they have so many prospects. It's such a fine line between these minor leaguers and Clint Frazier can't even get on the field. He had a concussion, but he can't even get in the field. He's not going to. What are they going to do with him? They started him in the minors too, and he played well last year in a limited role. I mean, there's so much talent. It's just incredible.
And there's sometimes he'll raise the question, why did a team get so and so? They already have this guy. Why get that guy or whatever else? It gives you leverage. It gives you assets that you can use to fill a hole.
Right.
You had Bagwell in the Red Sox organization when Wade Boggs was in Boston. I used to go down into Britain and watch Bagwell and look at the guy like, this poor guy's never going to go anywhere. Well, when the time came, now that was back before the Red Sox current regime. So when they did trade Bagwell, I think it was Bagwell and somebody else for a couple pitchers who I don't think ever saw Fenway Park. They didn't do a very good job of it. But having all that depth in your minor league system gives you. You can plug holes when people get hurt, but you've got, valuable assets when you need to go out and get something else.
Right. And baseball, it's such a grind, it's such a long season. Obviously, so many things could happen between now and then. I think you just want to put yourself in a position to get a decent start.
Sure.
And go from there. I mean, the Astros are loaded again. They got everybody back. They added Garrett Cole, and they're loaded up too. And, so they're going to be a force. I mean, the Astros and the Yankees could each win 100 games easily this year. I mean, see what happens. They got these teams that are really, really like the Tampa Bay and some of these other teams that, what are they doing? Who they got? I mean, it's still out there. Is Jose Bautista still out there? I don't think he's signed.
A lot of players out there. I still say you can field a playoff quality team right now with free agency.
Yeah.
Because there's collusion, right?
I'm trying to think who else is out there that still hasn't been signed. J.K. Arrieta just signed with the Phillies.
Arrieta finally signed,
Yeah, he signed with the Phillies. They got a nice young team, Phillies. Jason Worth, he's still out there.
That's right.
He's still out there. He's hanging around. I can't remember off the top of my head anybody else is hanging around.
The Mets did announce that Syndergaard is going to be the opening day pitcher. And that might be if it's not the first ever, it might be the first in many, many, many years, like decades, that the Mets had. I shouldn't say that. He's the first opening day pitcher back-to-back since Johan Santana, which goes back about 8 years ago.
Right.
It gives you an indication of the health of the
Mike Moustakas went back to Kansas City again.
Yeah.
He kind of like played his cards, and he's only signed for $6.5 million for 1 year deal, and I think he's got $2 million in change for incentives where he can probably make $9 million. But he at one point he was offered 17. When the season ended last year, so he went back there. So it's kind of interesting whether he wants to play himself into a bigger contract next year. That's interesting. With Kansas City, I think we talked about Miguel Cabrera on the Tigers. He's got 6 years left, and he's 35. And then you got Pujols, got 4 years left. He's 38. And I think you see all those kind of contracts are going to go away now. You're not going to see any more.
Yeah, and that's the players and the agents are trying to pull the owners got together and decided we're not going to pay these big contracts. I think the owners had some perspective and looked at themselves and said, "What are we doing?
Right.
We're paying a 35-year-old guy until he's 41 years old." When I'm sorry, if you're a position player in baseball, 36, 37, man, it's over.
It's over.
You're not doing anything for dog. And if you're a designated hitter or something, that's one thing. But,
we got caught up in this NFL and spring training. We forgot our March Madness.
Is there a basketball tournament?
Yeah. Let's go over these brackets real quick. Touch on it.
Yeah.
In the South region, you've got Virginia as a top seed.
Yep.
A lot of people like them. They just lost their first guy off the bench. 6 man's out for the year. He's averaged 9 points a game. And, I don't think it's going to affect them too much. They're still obviously pretty solid. They play great defense. They get enough offense, they can go all the way. They're probably one of the best coaches, if not the best coach in the country. Tony Bennett, fantastic coach.
Yeah.
Really good guy. Really knows his stuff. But they also got to get through Arizona.
Yep.
And Cincinnati's in that bracket.
Kentucky's in that bracket too.
Kentucky's too. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And they can see them in the second round.
Yeah.
Down in the West, you've got Gonzaga is always like a team that no one talks about. They just kind of like every year they're right there at the end.
Yeah, they're
always tough.
They're a definite, not a definite, but they seem like that perpetual.
You never see them. They're here on the West Coast.
Yeah, because they play
midnight every time.
Exactly. It's past my bedtime.
And you've got Michigan and North Carolina in that bracket. Xavier. That's a good.
I kind of like Michigan coming out of that.
Michigan's playing very well right now. And then the East,
when they played their conference tournament at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
That was by far the first conference championship.
Yeah.
Because they wanted it at the Garden.
Yeah.
Well, the Big East already had it locked up, so they played early.
Yep. Then you've got in the East, you've got Villanova.
I think Villanova. You got 4 number ones, obviously, but I think Villanova got the pick. I'm not going to guarantee, but Purdue and Texas Tech being the next best teams.
West Virginia, good defense. They're pretty tough.
Yeah, I think Villanova has what looks to be the easiest run to the Final Four there.
Then you get your Midwest. You've got Kansas, top seeds. They play Seton Hall.
Duke.
Seton Hall, second round. Seton Hall's not bad.
No,
not bad. They can give them a run.
They got Duke in there. They got Michigan State.
Oklahoma. Oklahoma's not gonna do anything. But Arizona State not gonna do anything. But Michigan State. Sleep on Tom Izzo.
So give me your Final Four.
I'm gonna go with Michigan State in the.
Really?
Yeah, I think they beat Kansas in the Midwest.
Okay.
I'll stay with Villanova in the East. I think Virginia stays on top in the South, and I would go with Michigan in the West. How about you?
We're pretty close.
Yeah.
I had Virginia beating Michigan. And I had Duke beating Villanova. Duke winning the whole thing.
Yeah, Duke, Michigan State should be that should be the regional final. I think Duke obviously. Duke could win the whole thing too. I mean, they've got 5 NBA first round draft picks for crying out loud. And they're starting 5.
You talk about. You can talk about all the great college coaches that have ever.
Yep.
Sat on the sidelines, and Krzyzewski's got to be in the top 2.
No. And this Marvin Bagley is just this is amazing.
Yeah.
For a high school senior, that's the scariest thought I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It all depends, obviously, who gets hot, who plays well at the right time, and your matchups and things. And there's going to be upsets along the way. Do you realize that I think only once in the last 20, 25 years, maybe more, that the top 4 seeds have actually been in the Final Four? And it's only rare. 2 number ones have always been in the Final Four just 3 times. So there's always, the number ones don't necessarily pan out. Usually 1 or 2 of them make it, but not 3 or 4 of them. But
so if you just go straight chalk in the office pool, you're probably not going to.
Yeah, you go straight number 1. You're not going to win
the $48 gift card to.
But I agree with you. I think Duke, Michigan State, in that San Antonio region, it's going to be going.
Yeah,
that's going to be. And then Gonzaga, Michigan, I say the other side, and then Virginia, Arizona might be another good. Yeah, Virginia's got that lock in that South, and then I think Villanova's got a good shot in that East. Yeah,
the only thing that worries me about Virginia, and this is why I don't gamble, because I'd just be terrible at it, because everything for me is like historical.
Yeah.
And I just always kind of see Virginia as that team that loses that early game. They get
Yeah.
beat by Chaminade.
We got to pick who,
who
who wins it all. I
already did. I got Duke.
You pick Duke?
Yeah, Duke beats Virginia in the finals. No, Duke beats Virginia in the
Virginia
finals.
finals, yeah. That's a
Yeah,
good
so I got Villanova, Duke, and Michigan and Virginia.
Yeah.
And Virginia beats Duke.
Yeah, I picked Michigan State, so I can't pick Duke. So
Easter Monday, so April 2nd, it all comes.
I think Michigan State beats Virginia in the final.
Michigan State.
That's my pick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Amid all that controversy, all that stuff with Larry Nassar and all that stuff, Tom Izzo survives, rides into the sunset, and then he retires on probation.
That's something that I think we at some point, maybe not tonight, we're up against the clock a little bit, but there are some horrible things happening in college basketball as far as FBI investigations, and these are not suspensions and those sorts of things. We're talking about jail time.
So next show, 2 weeks, we'll see where we're at with the final with the NCAA tournament. See who's left. We'll make more predictions then.
Maybe Tiger Woods has his 80th PGA Tour win.
Yep.
About 80 wins.
He's when he's right, he's the best. I think
20 wins for a career is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's going to get to 80.
All right, George. Good
We're
job.
out of time.
All right, boss.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, we're done. Out.